Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
Don't break. I wake up to a dim stripe of early sunlight that spills across her cheek, and for an instant I wonder whose face I'm looking at. It's my wife's face, Sandra, Sandy, as everyone calls her. But in that half-light, it feels foreign, as if the woman beside me is a stranger. The dust floating in the beam of the morning reminds me of all the tiny bits of truth we don't see until they're spotlighted. I take in a slow breath and slide my feet to the edge of the bed, pressing them to the cold floor. I still can't get her voice out of my head from last night's conversation, if you can even call it that. She'd barely looked at me, staring at her phone, answering in monosyllables. The silence between us felt like a third person in the room, larger than both of us put together. The humiliating thought hits me again. I'm a man who's allowed this to happen, who's watched his own marriage slip away, day by day, while telling himself that things were just fine. But it's not fine. I know it. She knows it, and I can't pretend anymore that the dryness in my throat is just from a bad night's sleep. The weight in my chest grows heavier with each moment. I force myself up, dress quickly in the early sunlight, and head downstairs. At the kitchen table, the remains of last night's coffee still sit in the pot, bitter smelling. She must have gone to bed after I did. She barely talks to me at home these days, and I haven't confronted her directly, at least not in the open. But that stops now. The cameras changed everything. Those damned cameras I installed, thinking I was protecting our small family business from thieves. Instead, they picked up the thieves of my pride. I stand in the kitchen, hands on the edge of the counter, feeling my pulse hammer in my temples. The only reason I keep from yelling is that my voice might crack, and I'll end up half whispering like some fool. Instead, I tighten my grip on the counter. I remind myself I have a plan. I grab my keys, slip on my jacket, and leave without a word to her. She's still upstairs. If she even notices the car pulling out, I don't care. Let her wonder. Driving to the store is always the same route. Wide suburban streets, little houses with bright lawns, families trying to keep everything tidy. I used to find comfort in that normalcy, but now it feels like a staged set, a place where real life is hidden behind curtains, just as it was for me. The store is a modest family-run business passed down from my grandfather. Now I'm the one responsible for it. If only I'd been as vigilant at home as I am with these deliveries, these inventory checks. I unlock the front door, step into the main aisle. The lights are off, so I flick them on, row by row, until the store looks half awake. My father once told me, "Watch everything, Rick. If you keep your eyes open, you won't get blindsided." I wonder what he'd say if he knew I let myself get blindsided anyway. By my own wife, by the man who walked in like it was nothing. I passed the display cases, the shelves of merchandise. My mind replays the moment I clicked open that footage for the first time. I'd expected to see a closed, dark store, maybe a cat's tail, or the shape of headlights passing by. Instead, I saw them. Sandy and that man. Michael Hunter, local teacher. He walked in after hours, supposedly to go over some inventory sheets with her. So the cover story went. I close my eyes and remember how the camera angle caught them in the corner, near the desk. At first, it looked innocent. Just two people leaning over some papers. Then his hand shifted to her hip. Her laugh, half in shadow, and she didn't push him away. She let his hand slide further. And then I saw her perched on the edge of the desk, his body pressing between her legs. I heard her moan, so painfully real, so undeniably Sandy. My pulse hammered in my ears. I'd sat there in front of that screen for almost an hour, playing it back in short loops, the disbelief like a knife twisting in my gut. Part of me thought, maybe it's a misunderstanding, maybe it's a trick of the camera. But there was audio. Faint, but enough. I heard her whisper his name, Mike, and it was laced with a warmth I hadn't heard in her voice toward me in a long time. After that moment, I was no longer the same man. I felt the humiliation pour through me like acid, burning every shred of trust I had left. I stored the footage, cut out the incriminating part, saving copies to multiple devices, just in case. A cowardly move or a smart one? I'm still not sure, but I did it. Now, I approach the back office, where we keep the monitors. I flick on the lights. A half-dozen small screens greet me, each showing a vantage point of the store's interior. It's empty right now, but I can see the reflection of my face, hollow-eyed, in the biggest screen. I recall that voice in my head. You have the power now. Don't break. Don't fold. Sitting in my chair, I open the digital folder labeled innocently as tax documents. Inside, I keep the videos. I watch just enough to remind myself I'm not dreaming. The moment is still so raw. Sandy leaning back across the desk, Mike's face buried against her neck, her legs sliding around him. My teeth clench. They thought I was nobody, that I wouldn't see, that I wouldn't have the guts to respond. But I've done more than see. I've confronted Mike, phone call first. I remember it perfectly. Mike, I'd said, I know everything, and I've got the proof. Silence on the other end, his breath hitching. Then he tried to recover. Rick, man, I don't. Shut up, I snapped, my voice trembling but fierce. You come near her again, I'll send these files to your wife, to your principal, to everyone. Your entire career goes up in flames. He swallowed so loudly I could practically hear his throat click. I didn't wait for his answer. I just ended the call. Next was Sandy's turn. I told her about the cameras, about the audio, about the backups I'd made. I mentioned it all calmly, carefully, my voice on the edge of shaking, but never quite losing composure. Her eyes widened, face pale. She stammered, I can explain. I cut her off. I don't want your explanations. And that was it. I left her standing in the living room, mouth half open. She tried to come after me, but I'd shut the door to the bedroom. Later, she'd stood outside the door, quiet. No excuses, no apologies. She just let the silence fill the space between us. I looked down at my hands, clenched on the desk, thinking about how she's been acting at work, tired, unkempt, missing her usual bright lipstick. She's terrified, walking on eggshells, as though I'll press play in front of her colleagues. Let her fear overshadow her denial. Let him fear. That's exactly what I've been doing, going into the store when her coworkers are around, leaning in to say, hey, thanks for looking out for her, just loud enough for Sandy to hear. They have no idea what I mean, but she does. I watch her face tighten. She doesn't even meet my eyes. The day moves slowly. I busy myself with inventory, making notes of what we need to reorder. My phone buzzes around noon. I glance at the screen. It's Mike. I let it ring. He tries again. I ignore it, continuing to scribble numbers on my notepad. I know he's panicking, maybe wants to plead or reason with me. Too late. An hour later, Sandy arrives. She enters the store with dark circles under her eyes, a forced smile for the employees. Morning, she says to them. Then she looks at me. We lock gazes, just for a second, and I sense that same emptiness. She's not wearing her wedding ring today. Maybe she forgot. Maybe it's a silent statement. I nod at her. No words pass between us. She heads to the back office to do her accounting tasks, a place that used to be safe territory. Now it feels like a crime scene. I decide to stay near the entrance, greeting the few customers that wander in. We sell everyday goods, a small selection of groceries, household items, some local crafts. There's a middle-aged woman who always comes for the fresh produce, picking carefully through each piece of fruit, pressing a thumb into each avocado. My father taught me to treat every customer with respect, so I do, but the courtesy feels mechanical. Sandy eventually steps out to pass me, heading toward a smaller side office. Our eyes meet again, and this time I force a half smile, though it doesn't reach my eyes. She opens her mouth as if to speak, but no words come out. A second passes, then she just moves on. Mid-afternoon, I slip into the back office. The silence inside is suffocating. I can almost smell the memory of them, the betrayal that lingers in the walls. We keep a small desk lamp there. A dusty paperweight with my grandfather's initials rests on the tabletop. I stare at it. I recall my grandfather's big hands lifting me up onto the counter when I was a kid, telling me stories about how families stick together. If only he could see me now. I approach the old filing cabinet in the corner and pull out a folder of vendor invoices, just going through motions to keep my mind busy. Suddenly, the door behind me opens. Sandy steps in, closing it softly. The air feels darker, like a cloud passing over the sun. She stands there, hugging her arms across her chest, eyes hollow. "Rick," she says, voice trembling. I feel my pulse spike. "What is it?" She clears her throat, glancing at the floor. "I want to talk. About us." My chest tightens, but I keep my voice steady. "I told you before. I don't want your explanations." She licks her lips, shifting her weight. "It's not about explaining. She exhales, eyes shining with unshed tears. "I'm sorry." That word hits me unexpectedly, but it's too little too late. "Sorry," I repeat, letting the word hang in the air. "Good. Now you can go back to work." Her eyes flare with pain. "Rick, I know you're angry, and you have every right." "Angry?" I cut in, voice low. "I'm humiliated. That's worse than anger." She lowers her head. "I never wanted to hurt you." I bark out a short, bitter laugh. "Guess what? You did." She opens her mouth, but I raise my hand to stop her. My voice trembles just enough to feel like betrayal from my own throat. "Leave," I say softly. "We're at work. This place doesn't need more drama." Her lips part as if she wants to protest, but all that comes out is a faint, "Okay." She slips out the door, leaving me with the dusty lamp and the memory of that damned camera footage. Hours later, after we close, I find myself alone in the store again, double-checking the lock on the front door. The staff left, Sandy left, and I linger like a ghost in a house that used to be mine, but isn't anymore. The overhead fluorescents flicker. I grab the laptop from the back office, settle into a chair by the register. I click on the video again. Why do I watch it? Maybe to punish myself, or to stoke the anger that keeps me from feeling pathetic. There they are, fumbling in that half-light, thinking no one would ever see. Her hands on his shoulders, his mouth trailing across her neck. I slammed the laptop shut, my teeth bared like an animal. For a moment, I stand there trembling, feeling a red-hot wave wash over me. Then I gather myself and walk out, locking up. As I drive home, the streets blur together. A single line of cars passes me, headlights piercing the dusk. My phone buzzes again. I glance at the screen. Mike's number. I grit my teeth, ignoring it until it finally stops. At home, Sandy's car is in the driveway. I step inside, finding all the lights off except for one faint lamp in the living room. She's sitting on the couch, hands folded in her lap, staring at the wall. A bag of groceries sits unopened on the coffee table, the smell of souring produce faint in the air. She must have come home and not bothered to put anything away. I drop my keys on the counter. She doesn't even look up. Then, in the silence, I speak. "You plan on leaving that bag there all night?" She slowly lifts her gaze to me. "I forgot." I approach, pick up the bag, and carry it to the kitchen. I hear her footsteps behind me. My voice is taut. "We pay good money for food. It's not gonna do anyone any good rotting in the living room." She stands in the doorway, hugging herself. "You don't have to talk to me like that." I toss a couple of tomatoes into the fridge without care. Why not? Isn't this how strangers talk to each other? Her shoulders slump. She bites her lip, saying nothing. I close the fridge and turn to face her. The kitchen light is harsh, revealing every line of tension in her face. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her, but the memory of that video hits me like a punch in the gut. When did it start? I ask quietly, surprising myself. She tenses. Rick, I. Answer me. She swallows. A few weeks ago. Maybe a month. A bitter laugh escapes me. So, just a fling, right? Something casual that meant nothing. She winces. It wasn't. It just happened. I was lonely. We were disconnected. I'm not making excuses, but you are. I cut in. My voice drops, and I feel it shake. I gave you everything I could. Maybe it wasn't fancy, but it was honest. Her eyes shine again. I know. Then you threw it away for a cheap thrill. I slam my hand on the counter. The sound reverberates, making her jump. I continue in a harsh whisper, not wanting to wake the neighbors or put on a show. I have the recordings. Audio too. He's trembling in his boots. Are you? She nods, tears slipping down her cheeks. Yes. I'm terrified. Don't show them to anyone. I stare at her, my heart a knot of anger and sorrow. Tell me why not? Why do you deserve that mercy? She closes her eyes, tears falling. Because it'll ruin everything. Our life. Your life. You should have thought of that before you let him between your legs. It's cruel the way I say it, but the cruelty feels earned. Her sob catches in her throat, and she just stands there, trembling. I wait for her to lash out, to call me vile, but she doesn't. She just takes a shaky breath. Finally, she manages, I'm sorry, in a voice so broken it barely carries. I want to scream at her, but something in me shuts down. I turn away, heading for the stairs. Get some sleep, I throw over my shoulder. Tomorrow's another day. That night, I barely sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see them tangled together. I see Mike's face where mine used to be. I see her hands pulling him closer. The humiliation is the worst part. I was supposed to be her man, her protector, and instead, I'm the last to know. Around dawn, I get up, shower, dress, and prepare for another day at the store. Sandy stirs but doesn't speak. I drive off with my chest full of a quiet, seething anger that keeps me rigid in my seat. The day passes in a blur. Customers come and go. My employees greet me politely, but I barely respond. Around mid-morning, Mike himself has the gall to walk in, not inside the store, but I see him through the glass door. He stands in the parking lot, hesitating like he wants to talk to me. I walk outside. What do you want? He stands there, shoulders hunched, tie askew. His eyes are bloodshot. Rick, please. We need to talk. My mouth curls in a sneer. You should be more careful about being seen around here. Wouldn't want anyone you know to ask questions. He exhales, forcing out the words. I messed up. Please, don't send that footage anywhere. My wife, my job. I step forward, my voice dropping. You're worried about your wife. Did you worry about mine when you were screwing her on my desk? He winces like I slapped him. I can't take it back. But I'm asking you, as a man. You're not a man. I say, voice shaking with rage. You're a coward. I called you once, and you could barely speak. He nods miserably. Yes. I'm just begging you for some mercy. I stare at him, chest heaving. A part of me wants to see him crushed, jobless, tossed out by his wife. Another part wants to tear him apart physically, feel my fists on his jaw until he's on the pavement. My voice shakes as I lean in. Get out of my parking lot, Mike. Go back to your precious school. Keep your distance from her. And from me. I'll decide if and when I show that video. Now go. He looks like he wants to argue, but there's nothing left to say. He stumbles back to his car, eyes flickering with panic, and drives off. I stand there, fists clenched, breathing hard. The sound of birds overhead feels so out of place, as if mocking me with their carefree chirps. Then I head back inside. Sandy catches sight of me, noticing my flustered look. She doesn't ask. Good, She probably knows Mike was around. Let her stew. Time crawls until closing. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. In the near-empty store, I watch Sandy from a distance. How she moves behind the register. How she avoids my gaze. At some point, a coworker tries to chat with her, but Sandy's responses are hollow. Her usual smile, gone. When we finally lock up, I'm alone in the aisle with her. The store is silent, but for the faint hum of the fridges in the back. She glances at me, as if deciding whether to speak. I sense a confrontation coming. She wets her lips. Rick, can we leave together? Maybe talk on the way home. My eyes flick to her. We have nothing to talk about. She looks hurt. We can't keep going like this. I give a short laugh. You should have thought of that before. She tries to hold my gaze, but fails, looking at the scuffed floor. I'll wait in the car, she murmurs. I let out a slow breath once she's gone. The humiliation simmers in me, but there's also a grim satisfaction in seeing her so off balance. I close the register, kill the lights, and lock up. On the drive home, we barely speak. She stares out the window. I see the reflection of her eyes in the glass, hollow and lost. It doesn't move me to pity. I grip the wheel, knuckles white. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about how I used to hold her close, how we talk about the future, about building something together. Now there's only dread. The last thing I remember is hearing her muffled sobs through the wall. She must have gone to the spare bedroom. In the morning, something in me feels ready to shift. The anger is still there, raw and potent, but behind it, there's a cold clarity. I get up, get dressed, and rummage in my desk drawer. I find a small USB drive containing the incriminating footage. I slip it into my pocket. At the store, I do my usual tasks. The hours pass. My coworker, Donna, a middle-aged woman who's worked here for years, tries to make small talk. You okay, Rick? You look tired. I force a tight smile. Just not sleeping well. Might be coming down with something. She nods sympathetically. Try to rest if you can. I grunt in response. Meanwhile, Sandy keeps to herself. I see her at the far end of the store, and a wave of resentment washes over me. In the past, seeing her would have given me comfort. Now it's just a stab in the chest. Late in the day, I gather some papers, place them in a folder. I have a plan, a small revenge. I'm not going to blow everything up just yet, but I need them both to feel the consequences. I step into Sandy's workspace, ignoring the tension that immediately floods the air. She looks up from the desk. Rick. I drop a stack of documents in front of her. Invoice checks. We need them done by tonight. She wets her lips. That'll take hours. I don't care, I say flatly. Get it done. She exhales, accepting the folder. Okay. I catch her eyes for a brief moment. I'll lock up later. You stay as long as you need. I'll be in the back office. Sandy nods. There's a trace of fear in her gaze, because that's where the cameras are, where the footage is. She says nothing though, just a faint all right. I head to the back. The overhead light flickers, casting everything in a dull yellow. I boot up the computer. My heart pounds, adrenaline surging. I connect the USB drive, copying the video clip onto the desktop. Then I go online. I look up the principal's email. My finger hovers over the keyboard. But I don't send anything. Not yet. Just the threat is enough for now. I imagine Mike's face when or if I forward the footage to his principal. He'd be done at that school, probably blacklisted from teaching. I can almost taste the satisfaction. For an hour, I sit there, not doing anything but staring at that file icon. Then I hear footsteps. The door opens. Sandy stands in the frame, backlit by the hallway's fluorescent. The tension climbs again, making the air feel heavier. She steps closer, voice trembling. You're going to do something drastic, aren't you? I lean back in the chair, crossing my arms. What if I am? Her eyes dart to the screen, seeing the file. A wave of desperation colors her voice. Please, Rick, don't ruin his life. Don't ruin mine. The anger roils in me like a trapped beast. He ruined mine. I say, voice low. Both of you did. Her shoulders sag. I know. And I'll regret it until my dying day. I tilt my head, studying her. My chest is tight, words threatening to crack my voice. Is that supposed to make me feel better? She doesn't answer immediately, just looks at me with damp eyes. No, but it's the truth. I push away from the desk. Truth, I say with a bitter laugh. There's no more truth here. Just secrets and blackmail. She takes a step closer, and I see her swallow. We can find a way forward, if you let us. Let me fix this. I rise from the chair so quickly it almost topples. I lean in, voice shaking with fury. You think this can be fixed? Like a broken window. She flinches. I'm trying to hold on to something. Anything. If you hate me so much, just say the word. And I'll pack my things. A thick silence settles. I stare at her, a part of me craving her departure, wanting to scrub away every memory of her. Another part, buried deep, still remembers the woman I married. My voice is raw. You don't get off that easy. There's no divorce yet. No tidy ending. Her lips part in confusion. So what do you want? I can't answer. My throat is too tight, my mind swirling with rage and heartbreak. Instead, I close the laptop, push past her, and walk out of the office. She calls after me, voice echoing in the empty hallway. Rick. I don't look back. The next day, I come in earlier than usual. I methodically greet each employee, thanking them for taking care of Sandy, just loud enough for her to catch a snippet of my voice as she arrives. I see the way her face pales. Perfect. Let her know I can strike at any time. And all the while, this gnawing dread and humiliation churn inside me. She notices the darkness under my eyes, but she says nothing. Mike calls me twice that day, voicemail each time. I delete them. Eventually, I leave the store, telling Donna I have an errand. In reality, I drive around aimlessly, ending up by the small local high school. It's after hours, but I see a few cars in the lot. Mike's car is probably there. A twisted part of me wants to march in and show the principal everything. I don't. Not yet. I turn around and go back to the store. In the evening, my phone buzzes again. A text from an unknown number. Please, just 5 minutes to talk in person. I'm at the store's back entrance. I know it's Mike. I feel a surge of grim excitement. Let the bastard sweat. I head to the back door. Sure enough, he's standing outside, hands shoved in his jacket pockets, looking over his shoulder as if expecting someone. The sky is getting dark, the street lamp near the alley casting a sickly glow on the pavement. I open the door a crack. You've got 2 minutes, I say, not letting him inside. He nods quickly, stepping closer. Rick, look, I'm not here to justify anything. I just want to say, if there's anything I can do, anything at all, to set things right, tell me. I scowl. Set things right? Are you serious? He runs a hand over his face. I made a mistake. It meant nothing. We've been drifting, talking about your store finances, about her feeling lonely. My fists tighten. Shut your mouth. He swallows. I'm just trying to be honest. Honest. I echo, voice taut. An honest man wouldn't have snuck around with another man's wife. He nods, tears in his eyes. I'm guilty. I won't deny it. I'll do whatever you say. Just please don't destroy me. My wife, I have a marriage too. I was stupid. Selfish. I admit it. The raw panic in his voice almost satisfies me. Almost. Your time's running out, I say coldly. He sniffs, nods again. I can leave town. I'll transfer schools if that helps. I'll never see her again. Just don't release the video. I stare at him, a heavy silence weighing between us. The street lamp buzzes overhead. Get out of my sight, Mike, I finally say. I'm not making any deals with you. He opens his mouth to say something else, but my expression stops him. He steps back, face pale, and slinks away into the darkness. I slam the door and lean against it, exhaling shakily. My heart is pounding. I realize my throat's gone dry again, that sense of a scream building behind my sternum. My voice might crack if I try to speak. So I don't. Late that night, I'm back home, in the garage, rummaging through boxes. Old photo albums, holiday decorations, meaningless clutter. These are the artifacts of a life that felt normal until recently. I find an old scrapbook Sandy made years ago, before we were married. The pages are filled with little notes, tickets to concerts we attended, pictures of us smiling and standing side by side. There's one where she's hugging me from behind, her chin on my shoulder, laughing into my ear. And I look at it like I'm looking at strangers. That's a younger Rick, someone who believed in unconditional loyalty. My chest tightens. The sense of betrayal stings anew. I slap the album shut and toss it aside. The air is stuffy in here, but I can't bring myself to go inside. Eventually, though, I do. I climb the stairs and see the light under the bedroom door. I can hear the faint sound of Sandy's voice. She might be talking on the phone. I inch closer, pressing my ear to the door. She's whispering, "I can't sleep. I don't know what to do." No, he hasn't done anything yet. But I'm scared. Her voice wavers. He's not letting it go. I feel like I can't breathe in my own house. My blood surges. She's confiding in someone about me, describing me like I'm some monster. Maybe I am. My hand is on the doorknob, but I stop myself from barging in. Instead, I walk away, stepping carefully so she won't hear me. I go to the living room, drop onto the couch. My phone glows in my palm. The video is there, just a tap away from changing all our lives forever. But a small voice in my head warns me that once I do it, there's no turning back. My mind flips through the possibilities, sending it to Mike's wife, to the school, to a public forum. Ruining him. Exposing her. The humiliation would be colossal, and she'd have nowhere to hide. She'd know exactly how I feel. But there's another possibility. Letting the bitterness consume me, living with this resentment until it poisons everything else. My sense of dignity trembles on the edge. In the morning, I go to the store with a new determination. The manager is absent, so I step up to handle the daily briefing. Sandy is there, in the corner, arms folded. Mike's not around. He wouldn't dare come here again, I suspect. After the briefing, I ask everyone to go about their tasks. Then I glance at Sandy. We need to talk in the office. She follows me, silent. In the confined space, the tension feels like it could crack the walls. I stand by the desk, the same desk where it happened. The memory claws at me. I can practically see them in that corner. I speak first. I'm done dragging this out. Her eyes widen. What do you mean? I say, voice gritty, that we need a final resolution. She steps forward, her face flushed. I agree. Whatever you decide, Rick. If you want a divorce, if you want me to leave. I hold up a hand. No, not yet. I want you to stay. But I'm not forgetting what you did. Her expression cracks into confusion and a flicker of relief, overshadowed by fear. I don't understand. I walk around the desk, brushing my fingers over the edge. You broke something in me. Something I can't fix overnight. But I won't give you the satisfaction of an easy exit. Tears pool in her eyes, but she remains silent. You'll keep working here, I continue. Keep seeing me every day. Keep feeling that fear that I might send that video at any moment. She exhales shakily. Rick, that's cruel. I lift my gaze to hers. It is, and I'm not apologizing. She seems to want to argue, but her shoulders slump. All right. Turning, I glance at the camera in the corner, the silent witness to it all. You stay in the house too. I'm not letting you run away. You'll live with this until I say otherwise. Her voice wavers. I'll do whatever you say. Good. I say, my tone final. Go back to work. She walks out, face ashen. I lean against the desk, breathing heavily. My throat feels raw. I realize my hand is shaking. The next couple of weeks pass in a nightmarish routine. Sandy and I barely speak. She stays in the spare bedroom. I can hear her pacing at night. I show up at work, keep up the facade of normalcy. Employees sense something's off, but no one dares to ask. Mike has vanished from my life, apparently terrified to come near the store or me. My phone remains silent from his number. Good. Let him sweat in silence. One evening after closing, I decide to watch the footage again, the old one, just to remind myself. But this time, I don't get far. 10 seconds in, a wave of nausea hits me. I slam the laptop shut, pressing my lips together. I realize I'm choking on my own bitterness. I stand, pacing the store's aisles in the dark. The beep of a faint security alarm is the only sound. My footsteps echo on the tile, each step a reminder that I'm the master of an empty kingdom, bound by a daily torment. I drive home slowly. At the house, the windows are dark. I step in quietly, setting my keys on the table. From upstairs, I hear a muffled sound. Sandy is on the phone again, maybe talking to that same friend. I consider confronting her, but my feet feel like lead. Instead, I go to the living room and sit in the darkness. The emptiness wraps around me like a suffocating blanket. Anger and humiliation fill my chest, but there's nowhere for them to go. After what feels like hours, I find myself thinking of how I used to love her laugh, how I used to look forward to her head on my shoulder at night. The memory stings worse than a knife. That's when I realize I'm letting this define me. The betrayal broke something in me, yes, but maybe I can rebuild something new out of the wreckage. Something stronger, or at least more resilient. But first, I want them to realize how deeply they cut me, and how I won't just roll over and give up. I recall my father's words. If you keep your eyes open, you won't get blindsided. I was blindsided, but now my eyes are open, and I see them for what they are. A few days later, Mike's wife calls my store. I recognize her name. Lauren, on the caller ID, though I've never actually spoken to her at length. My heart hammers as I answer. Hello. A timid voice comes through. Hi, is this Rick Walton? Yes. May I help you? She hesitates. This is Lauren Hunter. My husband, Mike, teaches at Northside High. I need to speak with you. Adrenaline surges. About what? She sucks in a breath. I'm not sure. Mike's been acting strange. He barely sleeps. He's always on edge. I found your number in his recent calls. He won't tell me why he called you. He just keeps saying it's something he regrets. I grip the phone tighter, my voice carefully neutral. I see. I know something's wrong, she continues, voice shaking. He mentioned something about your store, about some problem, but he won't explain. I'm worried. If you know anything. My mind races. I could tell her right now. Drop the bomb. Ruin his world in an instant. The words sit on my tongue. He slept with my wife. But then I remember my own torment, the simmering rage. Is now the moment? Or do I hold back a bit more? With a cold steadiness, I say, Lauren, I'm sorry. I can't discuss it on the phone. It's between me and Mike. She goes silent for a long moment. Then her voice emerges, trembling. Please, if it's serious, I need to know. We have a life together, and I can't live in the dark. I close my eyes, picturing her confusion, her dread. She doesn't deserve this. But neither did I. I understand your concern, but this is something he should tell you himself. Her voice cracks. He won't. My hand shakes, but I force composure. Then I'm sorry. I can't help you. I hang up, my chest tight. For a moment, I stare at the phone, pulses of conflict swirling in me. She's an innocent bystander, just like I was. She's me, only on the other side. After I end the call, I realize Sandy has come into the room. She must have overheard part of it. She stands near the door, arms wrapped around herself. That was Mike's wife. I nod slowly. Her eyes are filled with a haunting sadness. She doesn't know. I clamp my jaw. Not from me. She doesn't. Sandy exhales, uncertain. You're protecting him. I turn on her so sharply she flinches. I protect no one. I snap. I'm deciding how and when to handle this. That's all. She studies me, then nods, stepping out of the room without another word. That night, I remain in the store after closing. The main lights are off, except for the office lamp and the glow of the security monitors. I can't stand going home, seeing Sandy's face, hearing the echo of her remorse. Instead, I sit alone, phone in hand, thinking about Lauren's call. I could blow this whole thing wide open, let the collateral damage fall where it may. Is that what I want? Then a memory surfaces. Me, age 14, sitting in the back of the store while Grandpa rung up customers. My father was out on a delivery. Grandpa told me a story about a local man who found out his wife cheated. He burned her clothes in the yard for the whole neighborhood to see. The fallout was huge and ended in complete destruction for both sides. Grandpa said, "Sometimes your anger gets the best of you, and you ruin yourself right along with them." I close my eyes, feeling the weight of my phone. The old man was right. I rub my temples. I still feel the sting, the humiliation, but maybe I'm done letting it tear me apart from the inside. I recall that first line in my head, "Nene Lomesia, don't break." I repeat it, almost like a chant. I turn on the office computer and stare at the video. Then, in one swift motion, I delete it from the desktop. I remove the USB from my pocket, looking at it for a long time. My heartbeat is steady but strong. I'm not ready to destroy it. Not yet. I slide it into a locked drawer, the key going into my jacket pocket. A certain tension in my shoulders releases. I realize this might be the last piece of my revenge plan. Carrying the threat, but refusing to fully detonate it. Mike will keep living in fear. Sandy will keep living in guilt. And I will walk forward, step by step, a man who refused to collapse under humiliation. I glance around the dark office. I remember the day I installed these cameras, how I joked that we'd catch a robber or two. Instead, it caught something that robbed me of pride. But I'm reclaiming that pride now, on my own terms. At home, Sandy is asleep in the spare bedroom. I peek in, see her form curled under the blanket. For a second, I feel a pang of old tenderness. Then I close the door gently. I go to our bedroom, lie down, and stare at the ceiling. She might think I'll blackmail her for months, maybe years, that I'll ruin Mike or her at any moment. Let them think what they want. Their fear is the closest thing they have to justice. My voice is low, a near whisper, but I repeat that phrase, Nelomasia. Sleep eventually comes, heavy and dreamless. In the days and weeks that follow, the store runs smoothly. Sandy does her job, as if on autopilot. And I do mine. We hardly speak about personal matters. The employees sense the cold distance, but they assume it's just stress. Mike doesn't show up again. The phone calls stop. Even his wife, Lauren, doesn't call back. I move like a man half-possessed, but ironically, I feel stronger, because I survived the worst blow to my dignity and didn't crumble. Every morning, I open my eyes, remind myself of the betrayal, and feel my anger. But it no longer paralyzes me. It propels me to keep going, to expand the business maybe. It's a strange transformation, fueled by pain, but forging something harder inside me. Sandy tries once in a while to bring up our marriage, saying we should see a counselor, or we can fix this. My response is always curt. Not now. Because I'm not sure I want to fix it, or if I want to keep her in this suspended state of guilt. One evening, out of the blue, Mike's wife calls again. This time, I'm at home. Sandy is in the kitchen. I step outside onto the porch to answer. Rick. Lauren says, voice subdued. I need to see you in person. My heart hammers. Why? She's quiet for a moment. I found out. He finally confessed. A wave of electricity runs through me. I glance inside the house, see Sandy's silhouette. What do you want from me? Nothing, except to know if you're planning to expose him at the school. I'm trying to figure out what's next. My marriage might be over, or maybe not. I don't know. Her voice is shaky. I close my eyes. I'm sorry, I say, meaning it. She exhales. He was terrified you'd release some video. He told me everything. Look, I just want to know if you're still going to do it. I need to prepare. I swallow, leaning against the porch railing. I don't plan to. Not now. Silence. Then she sighs, and I can hear her relief. Thank you. I let that hang for a moment. Lauren, you deserve better. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. She sniffles. Me too. Another pause. I guess. We'll see what happens. I won't bother you again. The call ends, and I stand there, gazing at the evening sky, starless in the suburban glow. The last piece of tension uncoils in my chest. When I step back inside, Sandy glances at me from the kitchen. She senses something changed. She steps closer, noticing the look on my face. Everything okay? I nod slowly, feeling an odd calm. Mike's wife found out. He confessed to her. Her mouth drops open. So she knows. Yeah. Sandy hugs herself, eyes brimming with tears. This is all my fault. I can't believe. I hold up a hand, stopping her. It's done. She watches me uncertainly. What about us? I pause, letting the echo of her question hang in the air. A part of me wants to say there's no us left. Another part wonders if the rubble can be rebuilt. But the pain is still too fresh, the humiliation still raw. I answer in a quiet, steady voice. We keep going, day by day. No decisions yet. She closes her eyes, tears slipping down. I understand. And for once I almost believe her. The next morning, I wake up before sunrise. I stand at the window, watching the faint light creep over the lawn. Something about it reminds me of that first morning, that sense of a new day revealing truths we tried to hide at night. I'm still angry. I'm still hurt. But I'm not broken. I head downstairs, pass by the spare bedroom. The door is open, the bed neatly made. Sandy is already up, probably in the kitchen. I hear clinking dishes. Stepping into the kitchen, I see her fumbling with the coffee maker, eyes still puffy. She notices me. Our eyes meet. No words pass, but for a moment, I sense the old closeness that used to be there, buried under layers of betrayal. I grab a mug, pour myself coffee. She watches. Then, in a quiet voice, she says, "Thank you for giving me a chance to stay." I shrug. Don't read too much into it. She nods, lips trembling. Still, thank you. I take a sip, letting the bitterness of the coffee fill my mouth. I hear the distant hum of traffic outside, the world waking up. Inside me, there's a faint stirring of something. Resolve, maybe. Determination not to let this define me forever. I finish my coffee, place the mug in the sink, then head for the front door. She follows at a short distance, like a shadow. We step out onto the porch. The day is brightening, the air carrying a cool promise. I see my reflection in the car window. A man who's been wounded but who's standing tall anyway. Sandy stands behind me, quietly waiting. I look at her over my shoulder. My voice is low, but it doesn't crack this time. You ready? She nods, understanding that it's time for another day at the store, another day of stepping through our complicated dance. We climb into the car. The engine rumbles under my hands as I grip the wheel. I glance at her once more. She looks away, staring out at the yard, where we used to laugh together. It's all changed now. There's no going back to who we were before. But I won't let this break me. I won't be that man who sinks into bitterness without end. The image of them together still cuts deep, but I'm learning to live with the wound, forging my armor from the shards of betrayal. I start the car, pulling out of the driveway. The morning light grows stronger, illuminating the houses, the neatly trimmed lawns. Everything looks deceptively normal, yet for me, nothing is the same. Still, I move forward. My voice is quiet, a final note to myself, don't break. And I drive on, carrying my pain and my strength into the new day.